Amen. I have the privilege of introducing my dear sister Jacqueline. I don't call her Jacqueline, I call her Jackie.
我很荣幸想介绍我们的 Jackie 姐妹。
She is currently in Dumfries, is that right?
Yes, Dumfries and Galloway in Scotland.
Okay, up in Scotland in the UK. She is an amazing mother of 4.
她目前在苏格兰的 Dumfries， 而且她有4个孩子。
A homeschooling mother of 4, which makes her a superwoman.
而且她是4个孩子都在家里受教育，所以她是个超人。
She's also a medical missionary with an inspiring ministry called Medical Missionary Group.
她也是在做医药布道。
It is a team of doctors and health professionals that come together. She trains as well online, and then she has a home sanitarium.
那她是培训一组医生一起做医药布道，而且同时呢，她也有一个医药布道中心。
She uses non-invasive techniques that I'm sure she'll divulge later. And is just such an inspiration. I personally, in the future, please pray for this, would like to link up with Medical Missionary Group to make a well-being clinic in Wales.
那我们这个姐妹呢，她专门用的是那种不侵犯的技巧做她的医药布道，而且我们也希望她将来能在威尔斯也能设立一个医药布道。
So we'll have in the British Union Conference a wellbeing clinic up in Scotland, one in England in Suffolk with the Victorios who came and shared their testimony, and then one in Wales.
那我们希望将来呢，在苏格兰、在英格兰，还有在威尔斯都能有这个医药布道中心。
So I have lots to share, but I'm sure you can share, Sister Jackie. I've got the brochure and everything, but I'm sure in the course of your testimony, we'll be able to share those things. And you've got some lovely pictures.
那我有很多想跟你们分享的，可是我相信我们 Jackie 姐妹，她即将会在她的正道里面分享他们的医药布道。
So without further ado, over to you, Sister Jackie.
那我们就把时间交给 Jackie 姐妹。
Blessed Sabbath to everybody. It's such a privilege to be here.
祝大家安息日下午好，很荣幸能够与大家一起。
As you already know now, my name is Jacqueline Brown of Medical Missionary Group.
那你们也知道我的名字叫 Jacqueline Brown， 我是一个医药布道者。
I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 4 children, and I'm a medical missionary.
那我个人有4个孩子，而且是个妻子，而且我也是做这个医药布道。
More than anything, I want more than anything to be a child of God.
可是我最希望能做的是要成为上帝的孩子。
And he's been taking me and my family on a journey that we just want to share a part of it with you. There's not enough time for all of it, so it's just a small part.
那上帝在我和我家人的人生当中都有不断的带领，我就想把我们这个路程的一小部分跟大家分享。
This is to inspire you. This is to give you hope. This is to also introduce you to the medical missionary work.
那我想跟大家分享的，希望能够鼓励到大家，让大家能够对医药布道有兴趣。
Wonderful. So, without any more talking, I'm going to share my screen at this time because my presentation is mainly in pictures. And yeah, I'll let you translate.
那我接下来想把我的屏幕共享给大家，让大家看看 今天想分享的照片。
And I pray that my Wi-Fi will work, because here we live in the middle of like in a very rural area.
那我也希望我的无线网会很稳定，因为我目前住在一个比较偏僻的地方。
And sometimes Wi-Fi is a problem, but I trust that God will help us.
那我们的无线网偶尔会不太稳定，可是我相信大家，我也相信上帝会帮助我们。
I want to thank Jasmine for the privilege of being here today and being with all my brothers and sisters, and I'm very grateful.
那我想借此谢谢我们的 Jasmine 姐妹，让我能够在这和大家一起分享。
So Jasmine mentioned that my family and I have a ministry called Medical Missionary Group. Yeah.
Jasmine 也说了我和我的家人有一个医药布道的这个工作，我们的主叫 Medical Missionary Group。
And what we do is that we teach others how to be gospel medical missionaries.
那在这组里面，我们是培训其他人怎么做一个医药布道者。
We speak wherever we are called to speak.
那我们是不论去哪都会做这个医药布道，都会传这个福音。
And we have a home sanitarium where we welcome all who are willing to come and taste and see that the Lord is good.
那我们同时也有一个医药布道中心，让无论有兴趣的人能够过来亲身体验我们的医药布道是怎么样的。
And so we begin, but we did not begin as medical missionaries. We began as evangelists.
那之前我们刚开始的时候，我们不是做医药布道的，我们只是做一个传道人、布道者。
At the time, we had 3 girls: Tia Leone, who was 5, Michaela was 3, and Danielle was months old. I think she was nearly 2.
那当时呢，我有3个孩子，最大的5岁，然后第二个才3岁，然后最小的好像只是1个月左右。
We used to live in Manchester. When we got married, we settled there, and I got baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church at Manchester South Church in 2013.
我当时是在曼城，然后我还记得当时我在曼城南部的福临教堂受洗，而且当时是2013年。
And I used to be a Catholic, and I heard the truth of the truth that is in the Bible, and with all my heart I wanted to know more about this truth. After baptism and marriage, we settled in Manchester for 8 years.
那我之前呢是来自一个天主教的背景，可是经过研读圣经之后，我就接受受洗了，然后我们就在曼城待了8年的时间。
In around 2007, 2008, it was clear that God was calling us into the mission field.
那在2007、08的时候，我能很明显的看得出上帝在呼召我，做布道。
And after much prayer, we decided to just follow God, though it didn't seem to make a lot of sense to us because we have young children, but we simply wanted to obey.
那经过很多的祷告之后，我们就决定接受这个呼召。虽然当时我们也不太清楚未来会怎么样，因为我们刚有了3个孩子。
And so we put our house on the market, and we were willing to go wherever God led us.
我们然后就把家里卖了，然后就让上帝引领我们去到哪。
And after a number of missionary projects, we ended up doing task force for the NEC.
那我们经过了一些布道项目之后，我们就在北英格兰的这个区会做这个 task force 的主。
NEC stands for the North England Conference.
NEC 指的是北英格兰区会。
And we worked in the community. We worked with a group of different people, and it was a wonderful, wonderful missionary effort to reach people.
那当时呢，我们有一个小组，而且我们当时的小组就很殷勤的向那里的人布道。
And this was while we were waiting to be accepted for a program, a missionary program in Guyana, which is in South America.
那我们当时也是同时在等着一个布道的培训，在南美的加亚纳。
But during this time, something happened.
可是这个时候呢，突然有件事发生了。
I was expecting my 4th child, and we had to find a place to stay while until he was old enough, maybe age of 2, to travel to South America.
那当时我就怀了第4个孩子，所以我们就打算找个地方，直到他大概2岁的时候，我们才飞到南美洲去。
And so we searched for somewhere to stay. We didn't want to go back into the city of Manchester. We wanted somewhere quiet and somewhere green so that our children would be more free.
那我们当时找家的时候，我们不想找一个偏向城市的地方，所以我们而且也想找一个比较多青草的地方。
And so we prayed and we started looking. We went to Wales where Jasmine is, and we couldn't find a house that we could afford to rent for our needs.
那我们祷告了之后，我们尝试找了Jasmine 目前的威尔斯，可是我们找不到一个能够让我们租下的房子。
And so my husband said, "What about Scotland?" And I said, "No."
那我丈夫就建议了苏格兰怎么样？然后我说不行。
But that's where God led us. And here we have a picture of our first home in Scotland in 2010.
可是上帝就这么带领了我们，所以这个照片是我们在苏格兰的第一间家，是2010年拍的。
And here I am with Levi, my youngest child, ready to have him. And here are the 3 girls.
这是当时的我，还有我的那个怀着第4个孩子，还有我3个女儿。
It was here that God started to teach us about the medical missionary work.
在这个地方，上帝开始教导了我们关于这个医药布道的事工。
It was here that we understood that we had been doing the work of evangelism without the right arm.
在这里，我们意识到我们正在做布道的时候，忘了这个 布道的右手臂。
And so we started to learn more about gospel medical missionary work.
那我们就从这个时候开始学习关于医药布道。
So while we were homeschooling our children, we were also being homeschooled by God about how He wanted us to go forward in our missionary endeavor.
那我们当时是自己亲自在家里教导孩子，同时呢，上帝也是在教导着我们怎么做一个医药布道者。
So we read books like Counsels on Health and Foods.
那我们也读了一些书，比如说《论饮食》。
Counsels on Diet.
对，也是论饮食。对。
Ministry of Healing.
医药布道。
And some other medical journals that corresponded with what God was teaching us.
还有一切跟医药布道有关的书，都是上帝的通过这些书来教导我们。
We started to learn that disease is my body's way of telling me something is wrong.
我当时学到，我们身上的疾病是我们身体来告诉我们的一个，我们哪里出错的一个沟通方式。
And that when we have disease, we shouldn't just take medication, but find out why. Because I used to give my children cough medication, Calpol, without finding why they were sick.
那我当时学到的，我们其实生病的时候，必须追根究底，因为我小时候之前我的孩子生病咳嗽，我就直接把咳嗽药给他，就没有真正的了解他为什么咳嗽。
And that the root cause of diseases are toxicity and deficiency.
那疾病的根源来自于要不就是这种病毒，要不就是我们哪方面没有做得不好，还是不够。
And so as we learned, we started to apply it to our lives. I stopped feeding my children all day long and started to feed them at set times.
那我们同时学习的当中也有应用在我们生活上，比方我当时就没有不断的喂孩子，而且是定时喂他们。
I started to encourage them to drink more water and fed them lots of fruits and vegetables and all the natural things that God has given us.
我也鼓励了他们多喝水，而且多常吃蔬菜水果，还有上帝赐给我们的一切自然的东西。
But I also had to remove certain things like dairy products and meat products and sugar products.
那同时我也把一些像肉类啊，或者带有牛奶或者高糖分的食物，从我们的一般的饮食里面去掉。
So as we learned, we put it into practice and we saw our health. We experienced a wonderful restoration of health for every member of the family.
那我们在应用这些知识的时候，我们突然意识到我们家里的健康反而有了进步。
And here at this time now, God transitioned us to our second home in Scotland. So at the first home, we learned and applied. And here we are after 2.5 years at the second home.
那我们当时之前的第一间家住了2年半，然后上帝把我们带到 这第二间家。
And we started with a small plot. We started growing things and learning how to manage crops.
那我们开始了有了一些小地方，开始种自己的菜。
So we were spending our time on the outside, but also coming inside and doing other types of work also.
那我们除了在外面做耕种之外，我们在室内也有做一些其他的工作。
And it's around this time that God put on our hearts not just to go around churches and organizations talking about health, because by now we were going to churches and we were sharing gospel medical missionary work.
那在这个时候，我们很经常都会去不同的集团或者教堂分享我们的医药布道的知识。可是上帝给了我们另一个宗旨。
And many times the people would be like, well, where do we go to learn how to use simple things to recover our health?
那很多时候，很多人都在问我们有什么地方能够去让我们重新恢复我们的健康？
And we say you can go to America, you can go to Bulgaria, you can go to Romania. And God said, what about your house?
那我们就说你可以去美国啊，或者去罗马尼亚或者保加利亚。然后上帝突然问了我一句说，那你的家怎么样？
And so we said, oh, wow, we can't. We don't have space. We're not experienced enough. We don't know what to do.
当时我们第一个反应跟上帝说的是，不行啊，我们家里不够空间，而且我们经验也不够，我们什么都不会。
And God said, trust me and simply follow my plan.
可是上帝就说了，你要相信我，而且按照我的旨意行。
And so that's what we did. We set up one of the 3 bedrooms in our home. All the children went into one room. Winston and I shared one room, and the biggest room we gave for those whom we call health guests.
那我们当时的家里有3个睡房，我们就把其中一个睡房换到了一个客房，让我们的那些对健康的来宾有地方住。
We have an acronym called God's Plan, and the G of God's Plan is godly trust.
我们有一个缩写，简称为 God's Plan。那 God's Plan 里面的 G 代表相信上帝。
The O stands for open air.
O 意表着新鲜空气。
The D stands for daily exercise.
D 代表每天的运动。
The S stands for sunlight.
S 的代表阳光。
The P stands for proper rest.
P 代表的是适当的休息。
The L stands for lots of water.
L 代表着很多的水，
Internally and externally.
而且水指的是体内和体外的水。
The A stands for always temperate.
A 指的是要常常节制。
And the N stands for nutrition.
N 代表的是营养。
So we used God's plan, as well as learning how to use water therapies, massage, and other modalities for the healing of body, mind, and spirit.
所以我们透过这些，也包括其他的按摩啊，或者水疗法、自然疗法，来医治我们的身体和心灵。
And we saw amazing things take place.
然后我们透过这些看到一些很奇妙的改变。
This was Gunaz and his beautiful wife who came to us for 12 days.
这是一对夫妇，叫 Gunaz 和他太太，他们就和我们相处了12天。
He had a brain tumor and they had tried to get it out, but they had damaged him in the process, but the tumor was still in his brain.
那他脑里有个肿瘤，他们虽然试了把这个肿瘤去掉，可是出了些问题，然后这个肿瘤还在他脑里。
And they said he had about 6 months to live.
当时他们说了，他还可能只剩下6个月的时间。
But with showing him how to apply God's plan and how to use natural remedies, natural healing properties that God has given, he was able to live for not 6 months, but nearly 6 years.
那我们把这些上帝赐给我们的自然疗法介绍给他，然后他不仅仅活过了6个月，反而活了快到6年。
And then we've had many guests, but I'm just picking a few here and there. This young lady is called Irena.
我们有很多的贵宾，可是我就想跟大家分享一下这个女孩叫 Irena。
She is from the Netherlands.
她是来自荷兰。
And she came as a guest.
她来的时候是个来宾。
And then she was so inspired because she overcame her gastrointestinal problems that she wanted to become a medical missionary.
可是因为她当时深受感动，她那个肠胃的问题没有了，然后她就想作为一个医药布道者。
So she so she trained and then asked if she could come and join us to work together as a family and as a ministry.
那她就经过那一次就做了些培训，然后她也问了能不能加入我们的家庭，还有我们的小组一起做医药布道。
And she joined us in 2017 and is still with us. Currently, she's actually in Wales helping a sister deliver a baby.
她2017年加入了我们，然后她目前呢在威尔斯帮助一个姐妹生了孩子。
And here we have Gloria. Gloria, as you can see, was in a wheelchair when we met her.
那我们也有另一个贵宾叫 Gloria， 从这个照片你能看得出 Gloria 还当时在坐这个轮椅。
We had to lift her step by step up the stairs to her room.
当时呢，我们必须把她扛起来，就上楼梯的时候一步接着一步把她带到她的房间里。
And with the application of God's plan and natural remedies, with the application of massage and hydrotherapy, Gloria, with the application of all of these things and the much prayer, Gloria walked.
那透过上帝的计划，包括自然疗法、水疗法、按摩，还有这些其他的方法 ，Gloria 终于能够自己行走。
And now Gloria also trained, and Gloria is now a medical missionary, and she and her son Josiah have gone to Uganda to set up a mission station there.
Gloria 自己还有她的儿子也是加入了培训，做了医药布道，然后他们目前在 Uganda 开始了一个医药布道中心。
We have here Margaret.
然后我们这里还有一个女士叫 Margaret。
Margaret had cancer, and she knew she could not take the effects of radiation, which was what they told her she had to have.
Margaret 当时得到了癌症，可是她同时也知道她承受不起电疗的副作用。
And so she walked into one of our Adventist churches in Glasgow and asked for help because she had an understanding that Adventists knew something about health.
然后当时的她呢，就走到了我们在格拉斯哥的福林教堂，想求救，因为她知道基督复临安息会的教友们对健康非常的了解。
Isn't that wonderful? I imagine if whenever someone wasn't well, they would walk into an Adventist church and say, "Hey, you guys, you know something about health. Help me."
我觉得这很奇妙啊！要是大家能够这么想的话，要是健康上有什么问题，就走到我们教堂里面直接问你能不能帮我们解决这个健康问题。
When Margaret came and we applied God's plan and all the herbs and all the therapies, and Margaret has been coming every year since 2017.
那我们就把一样的上帝的自然疗法，还有一些自己做的药涂到他身上，然后他就不断的每年都来找我们。
Margaret no longer has cancer.
Margaret 现在已经没有癌症了。
When Margaret came, she was just a regular Scottish woman.
所以 Margaret 来找我们的时候，她看起来像一个很普通的苏格兰女士。
And now Margaret's a very strong Christian with the biggest Bible I've ever seen.
然后现在呢，她是一个很虔诚的基督徒，而且她拥有一个我人生中看到最大的圣经。
Meet Toan.
然后接下来我们有这个投望。
Toan had many autoimmune conditions, and she came to see us from the Netherlands.
投望是来自荷兰，而且他当时呢有很多免疫系统上的问题。
And again, Toan also comes to us almost every year, just for cleansing, but also to have her body reset and to remember to keep God's plan.
投望每年都会来找我们，想一部分想重新排毒，一部分也想多了解上帝的计划。
This was a wonderful pastor whom came to us. He had multiple organ failure, and in the month he came to us was the month he was supposed to die.
那我们也有这位牧师，他当时来找我们的时候，他身体很多内脏都出了问题，而且当时他找我们的时候是快要承受不了了。
And this is very important because oftentimes medical missionary work, most people focus on the body only.
这个是很重要的，因为一般做医药布道的人都注重在身体上的需求。
But it is crucial that we also look after the mind and the spirit.
那我们除了要照顾好身体，我们也要别忘了我们的思想，还有我们的灵性上的健康。
Due to his condition, we knew that Pastor was not with us necessarily for the recovery of body, but rather of the mind and the spirit and preparation to meet God.
那我们从他的病情知道，我们必须 不单只是看他身体上的健康，反而我们得注重他的心灵上还有他的属灵上的健康。
But God did something wonderful. He did resolve many issues that he had in his mind and many problems that he had with his connection with God.
上帝很奇妙，上帝解决了他那个心灵上的挣扎，还有他属灵上跟上帝之间的关系。
God healed his relationship with his son, and he blessed him with 9 additional months.
上帝把他和他儿子之间的关系拉近了，而且也给他多9个月的时间。
And so I could talk all week about the many wonderful people that we have the privilege to serve and the many miracles that we have seen.
要是能给我时间的话，我可以不断的给大家分享我们遇到过各种各样的人，而且上帝不断的给我们看到的奇迹。
Sometimes we are blessed by whole families who come to train or to learn more about homeschooling, and in the process, they go through their own miraculous changes.
那我们有时也有收到一些全家人都来找我们的，然后我们同时也能看到上帝在他们生活里是怎么做出大改变。
This wonderful family are now in Romania doing country living, and they are doing so well.
那这个家庭找到我们之后，他们目前在罗马尼亚，教大家如何在郊外生活。
And so, as I've mentioned, we have the health guests. We speak wherever we're called. Not just us, but the children also do their part.
那我们来找我们的贵宾，除了他们之外，连他们的孩子也有做这个分享的工作。
And then the training part of it.
然后我们也有这个培训的部分。
We have had the pleasure of training many people to become also gospel medical missionaries, and sometimes as they train, they are also recovered from sickness.
那我们同时在培训很多人的时候，我们发觉很多人在培训当中，也从他们自己个人的病情恢复起来。
So this family trained, and now they are ministering in South Africa.
这个家庭经过培训之后，然后他们目前在南非做布道。
Then we had the pleasure and the privilege of training this family, the Torio family, whom I hear you have met.
那我也很荣幸能够遇到，而且培训这个 Torio 家庭，然后我相信大家也认识他们。
When Errol was with us, he was suffering with psoriasis, and by the grace of God, by applying God's plan, he reversed his psoriasis. He went home and he helped his parents to reverse high blood pressure and diabetes.
所以他这个 Errol 呢，他也是有一个 psoriasis 的这个病，然后他回家的时候也是把这些知识都传到他的父母那里。
So began their ministry, and now they're in the Philippines, sharing this amazing message and reaching many people physically, mentally, and spiritually.
然后目前呢，他们在菲律宾也是做他们的布道，不管是身体、心灵和属灵上，都为他们身边的人做贡献。
We do cooking demonstrations, and we just love reaching out to inspire others that this is a wonderful work that God has given us, that everyone can get involved in.
我们也做了一些烹饪班，同时呢，也带给了大家很多的启示， 让他们看到上帝能够通过我们来影响大家的生活。
And even under lockdown, we have been able to minister to many people, whether they have COVID or sometimes people who were supposed to be looked after because they have cancer. They have just, everything has stopped because of COVID. We've been able to reach those people.
那我们在这个疫情封闭的时候呢，我们也能接触到不少的人，不管是因为得到了这个新冠病，或者是因为他们这个封闭的疫情情况导致他们不能接受治疗，我们也有接触到很多的人。
And then besides this, we've been doing lots of online training. We've been able to train people from the United States of America, been able to train people from different parts of Europe, from different parts of Africa, and we've been able to train people even in India.
我们因为这个疫情封闭的情况，我们做了很多的网上培训，接触到不少的人，包括在欧洲啊、美国、非洲，甚至印度也有。
We were able to teach people the best way to overcome COVID, especially very early, that you apply the right natural remedies and be consistent, and COVID is over in 3 to 5 days.
我们也有教导其他人怎么能够得到这个新冠病，能够用自然疗法尽快的恢复起来。
And through such training sessions, such as the one that's about to take place at the end of this month, 24th to the 31st of October, we have been able to train over 200 people within the last 2 years.
那我们也做了不少的这个培训，我们刚才有个海报，在这个月底也有一个，然后我们经过了这个几年的努力，培训出几百个人。
From all over the world, from every background.
而且我们这些人是来自世界各方各地，来自不同背景的。
And from the training came a desire for individuals to be baptized. And so, by the grace of God, we started Bible studies. And we had our first baptism last September 2020.
那我们经过这些医药培训呢之后呢，我们也有很多人想接受受洗，然后这是我们在9月份的这个受洗拍的照片。
At that time, 16 people gave their lives to Christ.
当时有16个人接受受洗。
And again, we were privileged this year, last year, 2020, our 4 children were part of the 16 who got baptized.
然后我们也很荣幸，在这个16个人当中呢，有4个是小孩们也接受受洗。
And this year, in June 2021, we had the privilege again of baptizing 7 people to the family of God.
那我们在这个今年的6月，我们也受洗了7个人。
So, although we started out as missionaries and then later medical missionaries, God has really led us in ways that we never planned.
虽然我们刚开始的时候是想做医药布道，可是上帝透过这个医药布道的机会，让我们看见很多我们从来未想过的这种布道的方式。
But the way God has led us has been a most beautiful way, and it reminds me of the text that says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path."
我们在这些经历的时候，让我想起一个在圣经的在箴言3章5和6节说：“你要专心仰赖耶和华， 不可依靠自己的聪明，在你一切所行的事上都要认定他，他必指引你的路。
And so I pray that just this snippet of our testimony will be a blessing to you and will inspire you to find out more about medical missionary work. Or maybe you might want to try for your own healing and restoration.
那我希望透过我今天这个下午小小的这个分享，能够鼓励大家对医药布道有兴趣，然后也能鼓励大家投入这个医药布道的工作。
So I pray that you've been blessed, and I welcome any questions that you may have about the presentation or about our ministry or our family.
那我希望大家能够从这个分享得到祝福。然后你们有什么问题的话，不管是关于我们的医药布道，或者关于我们家庭，可以尽管问。
Amen and amen. That was amazing, sis. Whilst people are